The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and this is our hour to talk about taxes and money and planning, and if you got letters or if they're calling you and threatening to take your firstborn, whatever it has to do with in the field of taxes, we would love you to join our show. 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. I got Christopher Fabian here.
Hello,
Christopher.
Can they take my lastborn?
Firstborn, lastborn. You know when they call, they say they're going to come get you. And Tiffany Fabian.
Hey there, Esther. And today we got Gracie in studio. Say hi, Grace.
They should take Becca, not me.
That's her sister.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here to talk about taxes. Just before we get into our subject, we're talking about New York items and things that affect your tax return, this being the last quarter of the year. It's so beautiful. Isn't the weather just beautiful?
Oh, it's divine.
It really is.
It's just ideal.
It is divine. It is divine. All right, Chris, how's our tax school coming? How many more students can we take?
We can take about 40 more students in classroom, but we also have online. Which is unlimited.
Right.
So there's always room. It's just where you want to be when you take the class. If you
Right.
want to be in your pajamas or if you want to be in a classroom.
And even if you're in your pajamas, every once in a while we'd like you to stop into the real classroom so that we can tutor you in person.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
you'd have to wear your clothes then.
That's right. That's
There's
right.
nothing like being in that classroom setting and people are bouncing ideas off of each other.
And the stories. The teachers
And the
get to
stories.
tell such great
Oh,
stories,
when,
you know.
I got to tell you, when I hear a story, it just sticks. You know?
Right. I
And-
think the stories really, I think that's why Jesus talked in parables,
Yes,
because
yes.
people understand the stories better than they do the principle.
That's very
You know,
right.
right? I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. Chris, if they're interested in tax school, how would they?
Two ways. Call us in at the office, 632-7886, 632-7886, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Or you can go online to egtax.com, and it's right on our homepage, Learn Taxes.
And
you
you
click
can
there, and
register.
you can register right
right
then
online.
and there.
And we talked
And
about the online classes, and they're in Amherst, Lockport, West Seneca,
the regular classrooms.
the regular classrooms, and the Grand Island
Right.
office
Yes.
as well.
And if you do register online or in person, you can obtain a $15 discount if you register before October 1st.
Right. So if you want to save money, get in now. And I'm going to tell you, it's wonderful. If you're an adult, it's an adult classroom setting. You don't have to know computers. We're going to teach you computers. It's really a great thing. And it's tax deductible. So the only cost is the cost of the book, which is going to be tax deductible because you're learning about taxes.
Finances,
right?
yep.
Okay, before we get to the phones, again, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. Well, things that are happening, the IRS just increased penalties for all kinds of things. If you don't file your return, if you're doing a return information only in your fraud, I mean, across the board, there's like 700 or 800
That
penalties. They increased them all.
Must mean that the customer service has gotten better at the IRS, right?
Not really. Not really. It's really
They're hiring
interesting.
more people. No.
If you have called the IRS, you know that you might wait an hour and a half, and then they hang up on you.
Just hang up on you.
They hung up on 8.8 million people last tax season, and on average, if you got through, you waited about a half hour, and then they might have hung up on you. So those things, and then Congress is in the process. The state of New York already has licensed tax professionals, which is good for people that we serve, but the federal government is also adding licensure for tax professionals as well. So outside of New York State, California also has licensure requirements, but New York and California is the only place that license tax professionals, and now the federal government is getting in the act. Things that you want to know is what if you have income from another state? What if you're living in New York State and you have income from another state? Somebody just emailed me that this week.
Well, if you have income from another state, obviously it has to go on your federal tax return. In New York State wants their fair share. If you're a New York State resident, full year resident, they want their fair share and they tax you on it as well. And you have to do a tax return from that other state that the income is from.
But what does that do? So let's say I got income from North Carolina. We'll do North Carolina. And I do a North Carolina tax return, right? But
Correct.
I'm a New York State resident. What happens on my New York State return?
Well, then you get a credit for the tax you paid
112R.
to North Carolina.
When you use a Form 112R.
Yes.
Right? So if you're somebody that has not ever taken the credit, you want to make sure that you do amend your return and take the credit for taxes paid to another jurisdiction. If you were a part-year resident, then you do a part-year New York and a part-year resident of the other state.
Right.
Only income earned while you are a resident of New York would be taxable on this on the part-year resident return, unless before you moved you had income
Right.
from New York as well.
I did a traveling nurse's tax return on Monday, and she had income of about $35,000 in New York and $35,000 in Florida. And she had a house here in New York, and she also had a house in Florida.
Yep.
And so she said, should I maybe switch my return to become my residence to become a Florida resident? And for her, it might have been a very good proposition, because this way she was a New York State resident and she had to pay tax on all that income in Florida. In Florida, you don't pay a tax, so I couldn't do a 112R for her. So this is a situation. And then she had a boyfriend. They were getting married, and Chris was talking to her, and we were helping her out together. And she said, well, he might become a Florida resident. But Chris said, don't forget his pension, the health insurance might not be
He
transferable to the
retired
other
from
state.
New York, so you had to be careful with
Right.
that. And
But here's the thing: if you have an opportunity, because I'm sure you all know that, and you've heard around the block, New York State has one of the highest tax rates in the United States. If you have an opportunity to go to Florida, for instance, and you have a residence in Florida and you're willing to give up your other residence in New York State and you're transferring over, and your intent is to become a resident of that other state, and your ownership is there, you're spending the preponderance of time over there, then you're not going to pay taxes, like, for instance, for your pension, your interest, your dividends, if you're in Florida, because they have no state taxes, and you'd save all of that income that would have been taxable in New York State. However, New York State is very generous to pensioners.
Yep. They're one of for a state that you do pay taxes in. New York State is one of the most friendliest states there is to retire in.
Right. So if you're over the age of 59 and a half, the first $20,000 in pension you receive, if you are a New York State resident, is tax-free on New York State.
20,000 husband, 20,000 wife.
And if you're retired, like from the city of Buffalo, any municipality, federal government, all of your pension's tax-free. So your wife might have a pension of $8,000, and she's a non-federal state or municipal employee. So her and she's over the age of 59 and a half, her $8,000 is tax-free. And you might be retired as a policeman. All of your pension is tax-free. So in essence, after your standard deduction on New York State, you're not going to pay any New York State taxes.
Right. I mean, I know there's some clients, some people out there, both retired teachers. And by the time you add the retirements and their Social Security, you're looking very much up in six digits, and it's all tax-free.
Right.
On the state.
On the state.
They're paying tax to the federal.
Because Social Security, again, is tax-free in New York State as well. The other thing is, from a New York State planning point of view, if you're into municipal bonds, if you have a non-New York State municipal bond, that's taxable on New York State. So if your broker has you in a Utah municipal bond, you have to add back that interest. It's tax-free on the federal, but not on New York State. Right?
Yep.
I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We got Bob and Jim and Larry on the phone. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take a short break and be back with your calls after the break.
You can go your own way. Go your own way.
So who is that, you guys?
Stevie Nicks. the Beatles.
It was Stevie Nicks.
It is Stevie Nicks.
Oh, Tiffy got it.
Right? All right, Tiffy.
Fleetwood
Yay!
Fleetwood
That's
Mac.
Oh, see, you got
Full
really
band.
specific, but it's okay. That's good. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady. 8030930, 8030930. We're going to talk about some more New York State stuff, but we had Bobby here from Amherst. Hey, Bob, how can we help you?
Yes, hi. Got a question. My son's thinking of buying a real estate property, a house, and how much can I give him tax free?
Okay. Here's the short answer is you can give him $14,000 without filing a gift tax return. Per year, per person. Are you a married guy?
No, I'm not.
All right, so you can give him $14,000. Does your son have a spouse?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the short answer is 14, but really, right? You guys he can give a lot
you can
more.
Give as much as you want.
Right. And but the thing is you'll have to do a gift tax return. Now, if your estate is not worth more than $2 or $3 million, you're not going to ever pay a gift tax on that money. So you have to do the gift tax return. It won't cost you anything, but if you want to avoid doing the gift tax return, which I'm going to tell you is a really short
Easy
4-page return to do, then you'd be limited to the 14. But if you don't mind doing the gift tax return, and if your estate is under, actually it's going to be $5.5 million on the federal, and like the state's coming up to the federal here in the next couple of years too. But you won't ever owe the estate taxes, so you don't have to worry. So the short answer is 14. The long answer is really don't worry about it.
Well, two maybe related questions. Can I do this retroactive and give him money for years I did not give him?
No. It's all in that calendar year. But again, Bob, let's say you want to give him $50,000. So you do a gift tax return. $14,000 of the $50 won't have to be reported to adjust your unified exclusion. The estate, the gift tax return is done, which upon your death, if you end up with more than $5.5 million, then that $36,000 over the 14 you gave them is going to adjust your unified exclusion. Unless you hit the lottery or whatever, this just not going to happen. So you don't really have to worry. It's a $50 fee to do the return. It's just not even, it's not. Yeah. It's like a no-brainer. You don't have to worry.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
I think people are afraid of it because of the word tax, gift tax. They should change the name of it to gift record-keeping form.
It really is a record-keeping form.
Yeah, definitely.
But if let's say that Bob was Mr. Gotrocks and he had an estate worth, let's say it was Donald Trump. Now, if you're Donald Trump, then you got a problem because your estate ultimately is going to pay taxes. But if you're like the rest of us normal people, you just don't have to worry.
Yep.
Right?
Definitely.
So you just want to make sure that you do it in a form so that it's kept track of. Okay. Yes. And then we got our buddy Larry. Hey, Larry from Georgia. What's happening?
Well, darling, all I can say, darling, is if I had half your energy, if I had a quarter of your energy, I would be in heaven. I'd be over Joe. I'm serious. No, I'm serious.
Well, you ought to be around me. I mean, I love to do stuff. stuff. So what can we help you with, Larry?
Okay. Couple fast questions for you. One, as you know, I'm in the process of basically redistributing my assets.
Uh-huh.
And the question asked here is, if I sold mutual fund shares before the mutual fund's distribution date, what effect would that have on the taxes? Will I not pay any capital gains on that? My other second question is when you write off your losses against your gains, do you get a dollar for dollar value? In other words, do you get $1 in losses for $1 in gains?
All right. So let me answer the back question first.
Okay.
Yes, if you have losses on your Schedule D, which is your accounting form, so to speak, for capital gains and losses, if you had $100,000 in gains and $80,000 in losses, you would net your losses against your gains first. Then the $20,000 that would be left would be, if it was long term, would be subject to your capital gain. All right.
Okay.
So you would take you would net, and if you had loss carry forwards, they would be used as well. Okay.
Okay.
So that's dollar for dollar. Then that's multiplied by if you're in less than 15% bracket, it'd be 0%. If it would be more than that, then you'd have to pay at the regular rate. And then there could be add-ons based upon if you had income over $250,000 and you were single, or $500,000 in your married filing joint return. But yes, they're netted dollar for dollar. If you sell if you're selling capital assets for more than a year, whatever you're selling, then they're going to be subject to capital gains. What is it that you said you're selling, Larry?
Well, Esther, I had about $252,000 in gains this year because we sold some mutual funds.
Right, but
So
what
we-
is it
so
that
one-
you said you were selling? It wasn't mutual funds.
Sure. They sold some stocks. I was told that right now I've got about $50,000 in losses.
Okay.
Right now.
Right.
You know,
All right, so you're saying if you sell those losses, can you take them?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
All right. Now,
actually-
the other thing is, Larry, let's say right now that your portfolio is down 50,000 and your broker wants to sell it. Yes, you could use those losses against gains, and you could actually buy back the stock that you're selling, the same stock, in 31 days, and you can take those losses. If you buy back the same stock under 30 days, then you can't because it's a wash sale.
Okay. And actually, my other question is, if I sold mutual fund shares before the mutual funds capital gains distribution date, before that, could I claim those capital gains, and will I be liable for the taxes on that? How would that work?
Yeah. When you sell it, you sell it.
No, I think if he has capital, like if you're in a fund that gives you capital gains and you sell it before they issue the capital gains.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying on his mutual fund,
Yes.
right? Then it all if you're getting the distribution, that'll all flesh out when you're getting your information at the end of the year. So if you're getting the dividends, it's going to be taxable. It's basically, Larry, what you get is going to be taxable.
Okay, so if I sold the shares before the distribution date, I would not be liable for those taxes.
But you
Is that
wouldn't
how
get
it
the
works?
income.
You wouldn't
though.
get the
But you
income,
wouldn't get
so
the
then
income.
you
Why
wouldn't
would
pay
you want to
tax
do that,
on it.
Larry? In other words, if I were going to get $5,000 in dividends, but if I wait till Tuesday, but if I sell it a week ahead of time and I don't get those dividends, that wouldn't make any sense, because it's true I wouldn't have to pay taxes on the $5,000, but I didn't get it. I'd want the money.
God, all I can say is you make this so clear, so clear. Love you guys.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone, and we got Jim in Cheektowaga. Hey, Jim.
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, what can we help you with?
My wife and I volunteer for a 501c3 ministry.
Sure.
And we use our personal cars to go back and forth there to work.
That's
plus
wonderful.
Also our cars to make pickups for them.
Oh, that's great. The Pope would be proud of you.
I haven't talked to him recently. But
Not this week. Hey, go down to Philly. He's there for the day.
Exactly. So can we deduct the mileage or anything else?
The answer is yes, as long as you are an itemizer. It's tucked away under itemized deduction, and I think it's at 12 cents a mile, 14 cents a mile. And so you can add up all the miles and claim that on your return for. Now, if you guys drive separate cars, you would want to take your miles and then her miles for the year, and
any
those.
supplies you had to buy that weren't reimbursed.
Right. As long as it's ordinary necessary.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Which is a wonderful
That's wonderful.
thing.
Who are you volunteering for, Jim?
The teacher's desk.
Oh, I love the teachers. That's a wonderful ministry.
John Michael.
Yeah,
do you know him?
because I volunteer at Kingdom Bound and I see John all the time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He's a wonderful man.
Oh, he's
Great
got a
ministry.
fantastic ministry going.
Yeah, but save up all the mileage, keep track of all your mileage, and then you get 14 cents. And if you haven't claimed it in the past, you can amend your return and take it as an itemized deduction.
Okay. Do I need him to verify the mileage?
Well, you know what? In the event of an audit, you got to prove everything. And you kind of feel like they're being unfair because they're making you prove everything, and then John would just have to give you a letter, and you do have to have some kind of a log as to when you went. Like if you go every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you and your wife a calendar. That's all you need is some kind of a log of when you went in. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jim, when you do your return, we don't need to see the letter from the pastor. You just need to have it at home for your records.
In the event. Okay.
Very good.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, see you next April.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yep, and really, if he does one mileage, if it's the same route all the time, he just needs a calendar to mark each day that he goes.
That's true.
I've been on an audit where they accepted that.
Right,
so.
that's true. Okay, let's see. We're going to go to Robert. Hey, Robert, how can we help you?
I am making a private sale of my second car, my backup car.
Sure.
Do I collect tax on that sale?
No, that would be when the person goes to register that car, they would pay the sales tax on it themselves at the DMV.
And and you don't have to report the sale of that car if it's a personal vehicle that's never been used for business and you're selling it at a loss over what you paid for it originally.
Oh, so I don't have to declare the income.
No.
Excellent.
All right.
Oh, good news, Esther.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Bob. Bye-bye. A lot of people don't realize that, like, for instance, if you have a garage sale and you say, "Oh, I'll take this blouse.
Right.
I'm going to take this chair. I'm going to take," and you paid a lot more for it, and it's your personal items, and you're selling it at a loss. The losses are not deductible, and you don't have to report it. However, if you had, let's say Bob had this car and it was a collector's item, and he paid $15,000 for it, and he's selling it for $45,000, that's would
different.
be taxable
Horse of
because
a different color,
right?
Or a car of a different color.
Car of a different color, right? Okay, I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady. 803-0930 is our phone number. 803-0930 star 930 on a cell phone. We'd love to help you while we're waiting for the news. Wanted to make sure that everybody understands if you have a small business or farm in New York State and your net profit is less than $250,000 and you have at least one employee, you can subtract 3% of your up to 3% of your net profit on the state of New York, and that'll save you almost $600 in taxes. So that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. So those are all things that
cool.
EG Tax wants to help you with. We're going to take a short break for news. We'll join you on the other side. 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930. We'll see Jim, Rayanne, Adam, and Bill on the other side. You know who that is?
I want a girl with a mind like a diamond. I want a girl who knows what's best.
Yeah, Tyler.
All right. We need Carly Fiorina. She's got a mind like a diamond.
Steel trap.
Anyway, I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady. I don't know what Tyler Samer. Where do you get these songs from?
1994.
That was from 1994.
I think that's off the top of my head.
But
That could be
what's the
totally
name
wrong.
of that group?
Cake.
See,
I was going to
You
guess
like
brownies.
cake? Come on.
I do like cake. I can't look like this if I didn't like cake. But I never heard that song before. I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady. 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And before we get to the phones, hang on, Jim, because I know you've been waiting a long time. We wanted to talk about the health insurance rates. They're going up.
Yep.
Right?
If you're in the exchange and open enrollment's coming up in a couple weeks, and you think, "Oh, I'm just going to automatically renew. I'm not worried." Check it out. A lot of the insurance companies are going up drastically.
Like 14%.
5% to 14%. Health Republic, which was freelancers, they're going up 14%.
And they were the cheapies.
They were the cheap, not anymore. Health Now is going up 7%. Independent Health, believe it or not, is going down 15.6%.
But then they were a more expensive.
They were
one
more
to begin
expensive,
with.
but now they're coming down to everybody
Right.
else.
So before you just automatically renew, and again, we have our own navigator, and if you need help, EG Tax will help you. There's no cost, but don't just sit there and say, "Oh my gosh," and not check it out, because you can freely switch from one thing to another.
Yep. If you were signed up as an automatic renewal before October 15th, you may want to look because you may want to stop that.
Right. Okay, let's go to Jim, who's been waiting patiently. Hello, Mr. Jim. How can we help you?
Yes, hi, Gester. I have retirement in New York State deferred compensation.
Sure.
Okay. I hit 70 and a half this past March. So they're scheduled to send me my required minimum distribution in December.
Okay.
Now, I understand, I'm talking to some people, that it's possible to have that distribution sent directly to a charity and avoid the taxes. Okay?
Only if it's an IRA. You could do, and as a matter of fact, that's a provision that has expired. So unless there's like 100 provisions that have officially expired. Now, last year, when did they re-up all these?
December 28th.
Right. So last year, the same $100,000 switch from the one thing to the other, from the IRA to the charity, it wasn't re-upped until the middle, almost the end of December. So if you listen, we'll let you know if it's going back in. But right now, and actually, most of the really smart people says that they think they're going to put it back in again. Yeah. But why would you want to send it to a charity, Jim? Are you somebody that likes to give to charity?
My required minimum distribution is exactly what I give to my parish yearly.
Well,
it's the same number, so I'd save about 15%.
Which is true. You'd go from here to here, but then you wouldn't get the itemized deduction if you're an itemizer.
I don't itemize.
Okay, that would be great. So right now you can't do it. Number one. Number two, it has to be an IRA. And so just keep tuned, and we'll let you know if they're putting it back in.
Well, I know you mentioned it before, but the main reason I'm calling is when I talked to Deferred Comp, New York State, they said they don't send checks directly to charities. Mm-hmm. So there might be an issue.
Well, it's got to be an IRA, right. So,
it won't be deferred.
But it might, So, do you have an IRA that you have to start withdrawing?
My wife does.
Yeah, well, that's something you might want to look at. But wait before you do it. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, we sit with bated breath. I'm going to tell you some of the things that are gone is the educator, tuition fees, sales tax, the deduction for switching from the IRA to a charity. I mean, there's a bunch of them that are in there, but right now they're saying that the people that know say that they think it will be, but we really don't know. It's kind of a horse race right now. Who knows? And politics, politics are bad. Okay, let's see. And then before I get to the phones, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We also wanted to talk about on New York State, the education adjustments and credits. The state of New York this week, I see, has been sending out a lot of letters. If you claimed an education credit on New York State, they're disallowing and asking for you to send it back. And really what they're saying to you is prove it.
Right. Yep.
Prove that your child was in the first 4 years, or yourself, first 4 years of higher education. And if you prove it, they'll waive the penalty. I mean, they'll waive the bill. But if you don't prove it and you just pay the bill, they'll take the money. So be very careful. Yep. And again, if you're getting those kind of letters, call EG Tax because we're there to help you.
Yeah, and while we're talking about that, New York State, you can do something that you can't do on the federal automatically. You can move your education to an itemized deduction on New York State. So that's something interesting and unique.
Right, yeah. That's true. Yeah. But again, if you're getting those bills, I don't want people to just go ahead and pay it. Because, and that's the same thing that the federal government does, is they send you the bill, and then what they're saying is, please prove this thing that we think is wrong. And when you prove it, then it's good to go. If you sit on the phone and you're hoping to talk to them, not so good.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, federal government, not so good. New York State's,
they answer
the phone right away.
That's true.
So they're pretty good, but you got to get somebody with intelligence to talk to. So,
what are you saying, Chris?
I'm not insinuating anything.
Okay.
My lawyer told me to plead the fifth.
All right. We're going back to the phones. We're going to talk to Mr. Bill in Niagara Falls. Hi, Bill. How can we help you?
Hi. I bought a house in Florida. I thought I was going to live in it.
Sure.
I owned it for less than a year. I sold it, and I lost about $15,000. Is that a capital loss?
Okay, so it all comes down to intent. If your intent was for that house in Florida to be personal, a personal residence, then the loss would not be deductible. If, however, when you bought the house in Florida, you said, gee, this would be a great investment, and I'm hoping to make money off of it, and then you sold it at a loss, the loss would be deductible. So it really comes down to your intent.
Now, I did own, and I still do own, a house in Niagara Falls, so that would not have been my primary.
No, but again, listen to what I'm saying, Bill. If the intent, when you bought the house in Florida, you said to your friends, boy, I'm going to buy this house in Florida, and this will be a great investment, and I'm going to use it personally, too, all right? You can have a personal use of an investment property. If you had bought it for investment and you sold it at a loss, the loss would be deductible. If the personal residence was strictly personal that had no investment motivation, then the loss would not be deductible.
Bill, I thought you said you were intending on maybe moving to Florida. Did you say that?
Yes.
But did you hope to make money off the house?
Yes, I did.
All right, so you were hoping that the house would be an investment property, correct?
And secondarily, I only owned it for about 9 months.
Okay, well, the whole thing, if you believed that house was going to be a good investment and that's why you were buying it, then when you sell it, it would be a short-term capital loss. How much did you lose, Bill?
About $15,000.
Yeah, so that would be a short-term capital loss. And all you can do is take $3,000 a year, unless you have capital gains, that you can offset dollar for dollar, then you carry forward. You can take $3,000 against regular income until it's used up.
Even though it's short term, I can continue to use it year after year.
Yes.
You're only allowed, if the loss is 15 and you have a capital gain of 15, then you're going to offset it dollar for dollar. And if you have no other gains, then the 15 you'll be able to take 3 this year. You're going to carry forward 12, take 3 next year. Carry forward 9, take 3 next year, carry forward 6, take 3 next year until it's used up. Okay?
And it's sort of complicated, so call Chris or Esther during the week if you need them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Bye-bye. So this is what's so difficult about taxes, is it comes down to intent. And Bill would have to say, Bill has to say to the IRS, I thought I was going to make money off this, I thought it'd be a good investment, and then whatever happened, he lost money, right? But if he can't make that flush out in an audit, then he'd have a problem, right?
Correct.
I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're going to take a short break. We're going to be back on the other side with your calls.
If you want her, you shouldn't tell her to leave. If you want her, you shouldn't tell her to leave.
All right, Tyler, I'm ready.
That is a band from Rochester called The Demos.
The Demos?
Yes.
And what's the name of the song?
Nervous.
Nervous. There you go. Thank you, Tyler Samer. I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We want to help you if you have any questions, comments, whatever. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 cell phone. And we got Ray Ann, who's been waiting for so long. Hey, Rayanne, what's happening?
Hello, I'm a county employee.
Yeah.
And I have free health insurance.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering what is happening with this Cadillac tax. Would you explain the Cadillac tax?
Sure. Well, so you guys want to explain it?
I can start. I know that in the year of 2018, it's mandated that if you have a high fringe benefit health insurance plan, and it's above and beyond what ordinary people would have for health insurance, there's a 40% excise tax non-deductible above the other ordinary insurance. And so Esther thinks that this will flush out.
Rayanne, I mean, I don't have my own crystal ball, but I will tell you, I cannot believe that Congress is going to let this happen. First of all, it's 3 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. I cannot picture, because who's really going to pay are our union people who have the best, and I can't picture that Congress will have the culiones, so to speak,
open up
to
all
say
that.
that, because I just think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do it.
So what it is? If
But I mean, as it goes, I'm sorry, Chris, for stepping on you.
That's
but
all right.
as time marches on, more and more people are going to be talking about it. But it's a 40% excise tax on the excess.
Huge.
I don't know.
Yep. So if your single, costs $8,000 through the county, that's what they're paying, and a normal plan is $6,000. You're going to pay 40% of the $2,000 difference,
Which
so
is
you're
$800.
$800.
Okay, I guess that's manageable.
Right, but I mean, I can't. But you know
It
what?
would be the worst
This is going to
scenario.
be with all these union people. You think that they're just going to sit around? I mean, sure, when it's 6 years down the pike, nobody's really making any noise about it. But I can't picture that the unions putting together are going to stand for this.
And the
tell you.
unions back so many
Yeah,
political
yeah, right.
outfits.
So
I
mean, so that's how it works, and so you can talk to everybody at work and say, "Do you know what's going to happen?"
Go to your union rep now.
Right, and that's true. They're going to start putting pressure to bear. If this happens, I will be really surprised.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks, Rand. Good
Bye-bye.
question.
I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We really want to help you. And during the week, if you get one of those love letters, or if you're getting the magic phone call where somebody says, "Hello, this is Haji, and we're from the Internal Revenue Service, and if you do not call us and give us $8,000, we're going to come and put you in jail," it's all a fraud. The IRS is not calling. So if you're getting those kind of things, don't worry about it.
That's
right.
right.
But
Yep.
call us, because we'll be your security blanket.
Yep. Well, I had a client who got one of those calls, but we're fighting something with the IRS, so he was really paranoid. And I said, "Don't worry, that is not them. That is not
The
them."
other day, this is the true story. I got one of those phone calls, but it wasn't about the IRS. It was the computer person that calls and says, "Hello,
your
I'm-"
computer contacted us.
Right. Your computer contacted, and so I said, "Oh, how great! Which computer? I have 200 of them." And I was hoping you'd call me, and so he started doing pornography over the phone.
Oh.
So then I hung up, and he called back, and my husband then answered the phone, and he did a lot of bad stuff with my husband. He told my husband a bunch of bad stuff. So, you know, it's like, you got to understand, there's people in third world countries that have nothing to do but try to get your money, or in
That's
multiple
right.
ways.
That's their occupation.
Okay, so life events are really important, and if these situations happen in your life, I wanted to talk about that because it should really make you start thinking. And what you want to do is, EG Tax doesn't charge anything to talk to you and to get you ready. So if you just got married, and one of the things, what happens with people that just got married? What do they think?
They think perhaps they could file separately or continue.
Or they should file separately.
Right?
They
Continue
can
to
still
do what
file
they were
single
doing.
because they weren't married for the whole
Right,
year.
but that's not true.
Nope.
Once you're married, you're married. And so if you're just got married, what if you had children? Children are a great big credit, especially children under the age of 17. On New York State, if the children are between the ages of 4 and under the age of 17, they save you a lot of money. So when you're having, like, maybe you had a child this year, you might want to change your W-4 because you're going to get the extra $4,000 personal exemption plus the $1,000 child tax credit.
That's right.
So you don't need that extra money going
with
in.
Christmas coming, it would be great to have that extra money in your pocket.
And then how about children that live with you and they aren't your children?
Right? You can qualify as a qualified child or relative and
not
household.
if they're not your child.
It's
so
For the
many
whole year.
times. So many times, people, like, let's say a boyfriend and girlfriend live together. She's got children out of another relationship. He's supporting everybody, but he wouldn't get that child tax credit, right? Unless he married her,
right?
Because they aren't his children.
That's right.
Yep.
So those are, because it has to be a qualifying child.
Right,
And
he
that's not
could
your
claim.
qualified.
He could claim him as a dependent,
Right,
if
but
they
he
were
wouldn't
for
get
the whole year,
right, because it's not his child.
Right.
She would be the one that gets it, and she has no income. He can claim all of them as dependents, but he doesn't get the earned income credit or the child tax credit.
So something to think about.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, with children, don't forget with college, a lot of college kids think, hey, I'm old enough, I work, I'm out on my own. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But you know what? They will cost mom and dad $25.
Thousands of dollars.
And then don't
Thousands
forget,
of dollars.
if that brand new child, you send them to child care, there's a child independent care credit on the federal and the state, so
Right.
something
So
to
that's
think about.
That's a big thing.
Yep.
If you're getting divorced, the first thing I'm going to tell you, if you can get your divorce done before the end, one of two things. Either you get your divorce done before the end of the year, which is a good thing because you want to be out of that married separate forced status where maybe daddy's paying the child support and he's not going to be able to claim any of the kids and she's going to be able to be head of the household. If you can't get it done by the end of the year, then try to file jointly in
Right.
most situations, especially if there's children involved.
Yep. And you know, one thing I want to say is if you're going through a divorce, have your tax person look at the divorce decree. Because, you know what, there's a couple different things
But
in
my
there.
attorney looked at it.
Yeah, my attorney knows. No, they don't.
They don't special.
You know,
I mean, the other day, weren't you on an appeal?
I was currently fighting in appeals for maintenance, what was considered
and
maintenance.
the attorney wrote it up wrong, and so he's down at the appellate level, and one part of it says it was alimony, the other part was vague. So as they're coming out, they saw the attorney that wrote the thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So talk about a sticky situation. But that's maintenance. How about claiming your child? You know, you got to make sure that's written in there. If you're the non-custodial parent now, you got to make sure you get that 8332 signed. So when you're in the courtroom, have the missus, because it's normally the missus.
I know, you know, the whole thing, it's not like you say, gee, my taxes are really important in the midst of a divorce, because let's face it, in a divorce, it's a horrible emotional situation. Yep. But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't get anything that we're saying today, if you're getting a divorce, call us, because right now you're in the midst of a divorce and you think taxes aren't important. But remember, once you're divorced, every year, your children that you're supporting, you're going to want to claim them. And it's not going to get better. Usually, it doesn't get better at all.
I do a tax return for this couple, and I just about cry every year. They get to claim they do get to claim the kids. What they don't get to claim the kids. What am I talking about here? I mean, they have the kids in their home, but
they're unable
to claim them, and that's what it says in the divorce decree every single year, and it just breaks my heart.
How is it that if the children live in their home, they're the custodial parents?
Right, but if the divorce decree states the non-custodial gets to claim them, and then they can't do anything.
But they live in the home.
Right, but if the non-custodial gets to claim them per the divorce decree, and they were divorced before 2010, the divorce decree stands. So the...
Boy, I don't know. That one I might think that you should take it to tax court. But anyway, that's all right. So
I've
the
had
other
Chris
thing,
look at it.
Custody issues are really important, because just like this kind of situation, because with a child, it's almost $2,000 that each child is going to save you. That's a lot of money. Retiring. Did you retire this year? Correct. Because you might have Social Security. Is the Social Security taxable? Are you going to have to pay taxes to New York State? Can you exclude that? That's another thing you'd want to talk to somebody. Social Security. If your Social Security is going to be taxable, should I have withholdings? Right?
Right. W-4V.
And then the other thing is, did someone pass away? Did your spouse die this year? Are you going to be able to file jointly? That situation, are you going to have to do an estate return? Did you purchase a new house? Did you buy rental property? Did you sell stock?
Not to mention, we have this all the time. If somebody passed away and they inherit something, and so that's something. If somebody passed away and you inherited,
that's true.
Something, pay attention to it.
If you have a small business, you want to make sure that you do everything right. You want to make sure that you are paying your employees properly, that you're doing all the workers' comp, because that's a gigantic penalty. And the least you should do is, if you have a small business, is look at an LLC, because for protection, right? And if you're on a C corp, unless there's some god awful reason why you can't be an S corp, you should switch over to an S corp, because you're paying double taxation. Yep. Health insurance, if you're a small employer, remember it's $2,000 per employee this year. Penalty for not having health insurance. If you got your first job, educational expenses, that was it. That's my list.
Okay, well, I want to say, if you're an employer and you don't want to cover health insurance, and you give your employer a raise to go get their own health insurance,
God, that's
you're
a big
looking,
penalty.
yep,
$100 a day per person per year.
Yep.
$36,500 maximum.
Yep.
I mean, those are kind of things like, oh my gosh, you don't want to have that happen to you. So if anything we said rings your bell, give EG Tax a call. You can email me online at egtax.com. I'll answer all your questions. Call us during the week at 632-7886. And until next week, I'm Esther Golias with Christopher Fabian and Tiffany Fabian and Gracie. Have a great day. Bye-bye.